Welcome
Sure.
back, Inebri-art. This is Andy of the Inebri-art Podcast. As always, today, because of the internet, we're gonna go overseas. To you're in France right now, right? Am I
At the
remember?
moment, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we're joined by Edouard Groult. Groult.
That's perfect. Yes.
All right.
Groult.
Groult. All right. I'll work on that. Um, so I came across you completely randomly. Um, One of my Facebook acquaintances, I wouldn't even say a friend, shared a series of paintings that I was checking. It might have been like reshared from someone else's page. It was very random that I saw these,
hmm
and they were paintings of stormtroopers,
Yes.
but more like, I don't want to say day in the life, but more kind of candid. So it was like stormtroopers receiving medical attention or like
hmm
being in different like military type scenes. And what caught my attention, I'm like, oh, I wonder if he like used actual photos of military operations to kind of inspire or lay these out. And I'm like, well, I'll just see if I can get him on the show and I'll just flat out ask him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do work as a freelancer for historical books and magazines in France or for the English press. And I used to collect a huge amount of pictures of like Cold War wars and World War II, First World War, of course, recent conflicts in the recent theater of wars, and I want to. Since a kid, I always have like an interest for the Empire and Star Wars. I was very like in A New Hope, you have this moment when two soldiers are chatting together while Obi-Wan Kenobi is jamming the Death Star, and then one of them is asking, "Do you know what's going on?" And the other one say, "Well, it's a drill." And just for this small second, we have like two troopers in a massive machine of the military of the Empire military immensity that are just yeah wondering what's happening. They're not like all the time knowing what's going on. They're like just simple grunts, simple troopers, like in duties. And since a kid growing up, I always have like an interest of what is it to be a stormtrooper in the Empire. Do they have to follow? Do they have to be enrolled because they are volunteer or like a
Conscripts. Yep.
conscription? Yeah.
Yep.
And then so on, so on. And as a kid, now I'm an adult. I am able to do images that I couldn't do as a kid. And yeah, recently, like during before Christmas last year, I just have to do some study sketches as concept artist does. Sometimes like to get realistic images. We pick a picture and we try to capture with eyes the colors of the picture and reproduce the picture and say, why not those soldiers there could be turned as stormtroopers just to have like a bit more fun to making
Mm-hmm.
the picture or practicing. And then from that idea, I went on like, okay, so let's have an inspiration from that picture. Let's mix two pictures together, and so on. So on, I created my own scenes, and a lot of scenes were like soldiers doing duties, eating, sleeping, patrolling, not being in the action, just because in First World War, World War Two, uh, after battles, you have like the wait before a battle. You have being bored because the front is blocked for a month. So yeah, soldiers doing things, and I just want to explore this side of the imperial life that we don't see in the movies and series, because of course we are focused on the heroes and the actions. But yeah, what happened between the scenes after the hero escaped? What happened in the scene before an attack there? So yeah, I want to explore that as a documentary style.
Mm-hmm.
Some pictures I posted recently, there are more action there because, of course, when you listen to the music of John Williams in your headphones, and when I'm listening to the movies, because I watch so many times the movie that now I have all the pictures in my head, and I
Right.
just need to listen to the movie that to enjoy the Star Wars spirit. And then yeah, I'm painting the scenes, and then I do action scenes. But sometimes when I feel like more relaxed, I just want to make like troopers doing simple stuff, not in a way to make them looking gentle. I don't know, the Empire is a brutal war machines. They have like a very mechanic way of thinking. The Emperor is a dark side. Uh, but yeah, like having a look of what it is in the other side of the story.
Right, like everybody's got downtime, and
Yeah.
it's funny. You made me think of like almost still Star Wars, but kind of a little polar opposite is the Family Guy episode. And there's that scene in the original Star Wars where the Death Star goes off, and there's like two guys standing on like this platform for like weirdly close to the Ray. And in Family Guy, they're like, "Oh, well, I asked him, and to put in a railing, and they said no." And the other guy's like, "Why? Why wouldn't they put in a railing?" "Oh, they said we'd lean on it." And it's like, it's like I liked it because it puts like that kind of realistic. Um, have you watched any of the Orville?
Oh no, sadly not.
Oh, it's
Uh,
it's like Star Trek, but with real people. Like they kind of joke around with each other, and they're
all
not,
right.
they're not perfect people. And I thought it was going to be a lot funnier than it is. Like it's solid Star Trek type stories, but
Okay.
it's just like the people in it are more like going through real problems. Like they're having relationship problems, and they're, one likes to drink a little too much. And I'm just like, wow, this is like more accurate to how because Star Trek is so, everyone's so perfect and no one has problems,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so I like that idea of kind of like shining a realistic light on kind of the personal life of a stormtrooper or
Sure.
someone in Star Trek. But I was poking around on your Facebook page, and it seems like you do like historic types things or
Yes.
futuristic, which both interest me and kind of have some overlap, I suppose. But you have like lots of paintings of old sailing vessels, and
I love a lot the ships from the 15th to the 8th and the late 18th century. Like I my mom is from the Dominican Republic. As a
Mhm.
kid, I've always grown up with stories of Sir Francis Drake attacking Hispaniola, Spanish galleons being attacked by pirates. So sailing stuff in sailing ships, tall ships, frigates, or ship of the lines, it's a huge part of my artistic pleasure. I have always a moment in the year where I have to do ships like that in my sketchbooks or in painting or in animation.
Do you carry over some of the same traits on those when you're doing like spaceships and
Well, they're both similar stuff. A crew with a hierarchy going across like dangerous territories, yeah, Atlantic, the
Mhm.
space, and inside you have decisions can decide the fate of the ship. Taking stopping by planets, stopping by some unknown islands. It's very related. Star Wars could be transported like into 18th century fantasy story. It could be the same. We have the lightsabers fighting, so sword fightings. We have like massive battleships firing each other. So that's a battle like Trafalgar between the ship of the lines. So both of them, it's the structure could be is the same. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's like I'm not sure how familiar you are with Adam Savage
Adam
from
Savage.
Mythbusters.
Oh, I saw some episode of MythBusters. Yes, about
We
but not all of them.
Oh, he's a long time professional model builder and worked for ILM,
Hmm.
and he talks about how his favorite thing to do is to kind of take like a clean model and then dirty it up, because like
Yes.
that tells the story. And like
Yes.
how do you convey the story in a painting in a way?
Hmm. Um. Sorry. Say again.
So how do you try to convey the story? Like if you're just painting a spaceship in space,
Yeah.
like
Oh.
what do you add to it to like convey the story?
Well, depending on the background of these spaceships. If it's a spaceship from Earth, from like a near future,
Mhm.
then I need to give it a look a bit like the spaceship's design in The Expanse. I think The Expanse captured the exactly logical way how spaceships in the future could be designed. If it's like space opera, then I have more liberty to create something more crazy. But it's very complicated to make space opera because a lot of amazing spaceships design have been discovered. As I like to say, Star Wars have its own design. Star Trek have its design. Homeworld, the video game, have amazing designs as well that are kind of unique. The Expanse managed to find their own design that is cutting from Star Wars. You cannot mix spaceships from the Expanse to Star Wars. You cannot mix it with Star Trek. So yeah, when I'm doing like spaceships, I try to stay. I try to keep on the one like on Earth modern Earth design, but I'm not that much trying to create a space opera stuff. If I want to go space opera, I do my nerd and I do the Star Wars scenes.
Where do you find the inspiration? Is it like you're kind of like around the house and you look at a can opener just the right way and you go, oh, that could
Oh,
be a spaceship? Like, where do you kind of pull those shapes
yeah,
from?
I know some artists like are finding the most random objects around them and turning them into spaceships. For me, I try to think the function of the ship. It is a attack ship, so it has to be small, with the big engines to speed, and with some few weapons to be able to intercept or make a blockade. If it's transport ship, then it's going to be something huge because you have to carry a lot of things. There's no weight in space technically when they're like the ship design can be like very ugly. It doesn't matter. There's no sense of hydro aerodynamics in space, so it could take the most crazy shapes, except if the ship has to go into atmosphere, like landing on a planet. Then you have to rethink the design of your ship. So
Mhm.
for me, the function makes the design.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, like, because one of my recent favorite ships is Serenity from Firefly.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
It's a gorgeous ship, but
I mean,
like,
I found it very ugly, but it's like the Millennium Falcon. Its ugliness makes it beauty for me.
right. But I also look at it and go, there's no way that would fly in the atmosphere. So I'm like, that just makes no sense.
Yeah, except if you want something like that flying in the atmosphere, then you need excellent shield to protect the entrance in the atmosphere, and you need extra powerful anti-grav systems to
Yeah.
make these heavy objects staying in the air. Like you need crazy repulsors.
Yeah. It's just like, I love it, but it's just one of those like that makes no sense. But do you have like what's your favorite ship that you love to work on, or just in general?
Oh, from like a franchise or my own.
I would say it's from a franchise, so we can kind of get like a frame of reference.
Definitely Star Destroyers.
Really?
Yeah, I found them. It almost makes sense. They have a huge default is like the back of the ship, the reactor system. It's a massive call for a behind attack, but those starships reminds me a lot the concept of the ship of the line of the 18th century, massively armored in the size,
Mm-hmm.
a massive crew with soldiers inside, able to make some landing troops, some escorting, some carrying some massive battles, but the rear of ship of the line of the 18th, 19th century is like where the captain's quarters are, and is the weakest point of a ship. And I think in Star Wars, like they have the same structure. The back of the Star Destroyers are the weakest point, and he's like, yeah, it's the Empire's design, just a spear. You see the shape from the ground of the planet. You see this shape in the atmosphere above you. That's it. The Empire is there. Soon you will hear the roar of the TIE fighters deploying and transport like dropping troops on the floor. It's like a very a mighty impression. When
No, I agree, because the thing that always kind of struck me was kind of how it constantly scaled up. Like in the first, I'm going to say first because episode 4 is still the first one in my opinion.
yeah, it is.
You have the Star Destroyer and you're like, oh my god, that thing's immense. And then is it in the second one where it crashes into a Super Star Destroyer?
Oh yeah, well,
And you're like, oh my god, that's so much bigger. And then
yeah.
in Return of the Jedi, you see the Super Star Destroyer crash into the Death Star, and you don't even see the curvature.
Yeah.
It really puts everything into this crazy scale of really how big these things were.
That's a sense of scale that Star Wars
supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the sense of scale that we can feel like the Millennium Falcon entering inside Death Star, and you see the towers and this massive trench of the equatorial system of the Death Star. Like just huge, and just by painting, like
Yeah.
a matte painting, it's just fantastic. Yeah, I still believe it when I see that. And so many scenes that are like painted, that the hangar of the Rebel One in the Return of the Jedi when they're boarding inside the shuttle,
Mhm.
all the hangar, it's painting, it's fantastic.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
and Han
mean,
Solo watching for the last time, the Millennium Falcon, and say, "Yeah, I have a fear. I have a bad feeling that I'm going to. It's the last time I see it." And it's the painting. God damn it, that's beautiful.
yeah. I mean, those movies changed, cinema art in so many different ways.
Oof.
And I feel like in some ways the modern version of that, because I mean, like ILM came out of that, Skywalker Sound. There's all
Yes.
the Lord of the Rings movies, kind of in
Oh yeah, I think the
you
Lord of
know,
the Rings is in the same dynamic of
yeah.
changing the rule of cinema to make new things.
So, did you go to traditional art school?
Oh, yeah. I have the very old school curriculum vitae, if I can say. I went in Paris for 2 years in a prep school there, where I stopped to be a school drawer, and I changed my mentality, because I was doing a lot of Star Wars stuff as a kid,
Hmm.
like fan drawings, before the concept of fan art was invented. And then they teach me, no, stop doing Star Wars, stop doing Stormtroopers, stop doing Skywalker stuff. Just do you. Invent your own stuff, create your own universe, make the Edward inside you, be the creatives, and not anymore taking someone else's stuff. And that was super helpful. I needed to be slapped in the face and realize that no, I want to create. I have ideas and I want to put them on paper and
Yeah.
painting. And then I went 3 years in Saint Luc of Brussels in Belgium, for in an illustration school, where the school was not the best one, but the most important things in those schools, where I met important people. Thanks to some pals there, I could see a small conference of this French concept artist, named Black Frog. Have
Black
you?
Frog?
Yeah,
No.
he worked for X-Men, for Harry Potter, and he did tons of magic card, and he did so much after. And this guy just arrived with his laptop, his graphic tablet, and painted on Photoshop in front of us. I was jaw dropped, because I was just traditional at the moment. I was sketching with pens and
Hmm.
pencils. I saw Black Frog talking about his job, and I realized I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
be like this guy, because he was looking so cool, a black beard, a black dread. He has this personality that sparkles, and his work was amazing. And I said, yeah, I want to be like you. I want to be a concept artist. And then so on. Dad, Mom, can you give me a lot of money to buy a laptop and a graphic tablet? That's for work. Yes, that's for work. That's for studies.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then
And it's really the direction that things are moving in. My youngest is headed to what you'd say university, correct?
yeah,
Um, this fall, and they do so much work on a tablet, and
yeah,
it's just how it's going, and
it's the future.
it is, and it's so funny for. I find there's still people that be like, "Oh, well, I paint for real," and be like, "Well, it is just because there's not a canvas doesn't mean it's not real." But it's this weird kind of gatekeeping to art where they almost don't want technology in it, but at the same point, art's always been kind of about pushing boundaries and finding new ways to do
Yeah,
things. I think so. I
art
find it
evolves,
strange. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a museum in south of France, the Museum of Matisse, and there were an exposition of this British painter named David Hockney. David Hockney is painting now with iPad. This
Yep.
guy was working, has a huge career behind me. He's 80 years old, I guess, old man, now living in Normandy, and he always worked as a traditional painter, a lot of
Hmm.
paintings, but now he takes an iPad and does his painting on iPad. Those paintings were exposed, and I think for many artists that have painting on their iPads, because a computer is super expensive, while tablets are more affordable. It's a
Yep.
good invest, and then it goes on with Procreate or Photoshop or whatever. Yeah, young people can start their career on iPad, because it's a way, like many others, to be creative, and do not waste your time waiting the oil gets dry, because oil getting dry it's
Takes forever.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been years.
And the funny part is like, yeah, it is expensive, but it's kind of a one-time cost.
Yeah.
Where if you're doing oils, you're constantly having to buy new oils or turpentine or
Yes.
brushes or
By
canvas. And
canvas. Yeah. Oh. I mean, I paint with oils. My last year of studies, I was doing a master in painting because I knew it was going to be my last my last year painting traditionally. Because after that, I'll be doing digital paintings, and it happens before passing my exams and having my diploma of master that I never had because I was contacted by a video game company in Oxford. They asked me if I want to be a concept artist for them, doing zombies and World War II stuff. So, yes, 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 yes. So yeah, I dropped the oil, I dropped the brushes, and I went there to do even now years and years of digital paintings, and it was not. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Do you find when you're explaining to people who maybe not as informed about the industry or art or whatnot, when you're telling them you're doing concept art and paintings for things like video games, do they seem confused? Do they seem to kind of understand what it's about? Or
Some people can have an idea. Well, mostly gamers have an idea of what a concept artist is.
Mhm.
For other people, I'll say I'm doing ludic art, but this is why I always have my phone on me. It's not because I'm using my phone all the time to nick messages. It's just like I have Instagram there, and Instagram allows me to show them a gallery of what I do, and they
Mhm.
understand in a blink of the eye what is concept artist. I show characters, landscapes, vehicles, and that's it. They have an idea, and they say like, "Oh, that's a photography." No. There's no spaceships like that in real life. It's a painting.
Yeah. Is there like a franchise that I mean, obviously you seem to like Star Wars, but is there
Yeah.
another franchise that you'd like to work on at some point?
I'm a deep nerd. If I have to, when I have free time, because those Star Wars paintings I did is because I had like a moment of of liberty
Mhm.
between my main jobs and freelance I do. This one was really a bubble of liberty, as I like to think it. But if I was listening myself, I would do fan art of Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park. I insist on park.
Oh, not Jurassic World.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to rent. That's not. Yeah, I have so many licenses that I love so much that I have to pick the one that that means a lot. It has been years. I was not doing Star Wars stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just want to have like this moment of being in a galaxy far, far away. Because in my private life, I faced some difficulties in this year. Nothing major, but it was not like pink all every day. So yeah, when you finish working and you want to escape your reality, then I make this bubble and I jump in it, and that's it. I'm in the other galaxy, and I'm painting stormtroopers that aim correctly. That are soldiers.
That aim correctly. But I mean, that's kind of I think how everyone kind of gets started in art. It's very much escapism. It kind of allows
Yes.
you're the master of your domain and you get to do what you
Yes.
want when you want. Um,
It's very personal. You do art because you want to have fun.
Mhm.
It's a question like you just. I'm not much thinking about having as a work. It's a work, but it's fun as well. And when the fun is completely fun, then yeah, it's a wonderful way to and painting or writing, like people doing fan fictions, because there's
Yep.
like excellent people writing excellent fan fictions about universe, such Harry Potter. Oh, I was such a nerd of Harry Potter when I was in my teenage. Drawings of Harry Potter, I have thousands of them. Even
People love that. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I was on the wrong age, I think.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm still the 16 years old boy in my head.
Yeah, well,
Well,
that's why I love Lord of the Rings so much. Like that
oh
was,
yeah.
I grew up on like the Rankin Bass cartoon versions of it. That like at the time that was the best thing ever. Looking back now, I'm like, I mean, it's so I like it. But when the movies came out, I mean, I was just absolute. I can remember it's in the opening scene where Gandalf's
Yes.
coming up the
Oh
path,
yes.
and Frodo jumps into his
Yeah.
arms, and my brain was just like couldn't. I was so sucked in because I couldn't wrap my brain around how they made Elijah Wood so small. Like I'm like I don't understand what's going on. Um, but just I've been fascinated with that series for so long, and I've watched every documentary I can find, and
Yes.
who the artists were who inspired it, and anything about what workshops I watch, because it's just so
Yeah.
fascinating about how amazing of a job they did to make this really all-encompassing world that seems so real.
It's a blast. It was a massive blast. Yeah, me too. When I have to do nights, anything related to medieval times or even
Mhm.
Renaissance time for my work, then the long version of the trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm sure to have like an entire day in the fantasy world with the swords fighting and the heroes and beautiful music, and that's
Oh
it.
yeah.
At the end of the day, I finished my painting of knights. Up, en voilà. Et voilà.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is a great question that someone asked me one time, and I think it's a really, really good question. Hollywood is so known for, you know, they have another Lord of the Rings series coming out for Amazon Prime, and a
Mm.
Game of Thrones, and they love to rehash the successes. But what is a property that might not have been a success that you think deserves a relaunch? I'll tell you mine is
Please.
Buckaroo Banzai.
A Bucker of Banzai? Sorry, the term is.
So it was a movie. It came out in the 1980s. It was called Buckaroo Banzai. Oh crap, there's more to the title, but it was set up to be like kind of a series of movies, and he was sort of like a Tony Stark, like this super genius that had a rock
Mhm.
band, and like he fought aliens, and it's a really not good movie, but the premise, like, it just didn't have the budget. It's played by the same guy that Peter Weller, who played RoboCop.
Okay.
And so you should definitely check it out, because it's
Yeah, sure.
kind of low budget and not bad, but you could see it deserves a relaunch. They could rework it, modernize it. And it's just the fact that like he was a rock star slash
Mhm.
super scientist, and
Yes.
Jeff Goldblum's in it.
Oh, awesome.
Who else is in it? Jonathan Lithgow. So it's got a huge cast in it,
Yeah,
but
impressive. Yeah.
it just fell short. And so I'd
Well,
love to see relaunch. Is there one that you think that has some love for you that you think didn't really quite make it, that should be relaunched again?
I think we saw an excellent sample that went well. We had Dune
Dune.
of,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and we have an excellent new version of it
Yeah.
with a new touch, a new way to understand the universe. Uh, I will say, yeah, Dune was. I was not into Dune before watching Dune. I had with Dune what happened to me with Lord of the Rings. Before Lord of the Rings, I was not too much into medieval fantasy. For me, it was just Warcraft 2 on my PC,
Yeah.
and that's it. Then after Lord of the Rings, bam, I jump into what is an orc, what's a goblin, and with Dune, what is a Bene Gesserit, what is the world of Dune, the Imperium. I found a lot of stuff coming from Warhammer 40, well, Warhammer 40,000, even
Yeah.
Star Wars with Tatooine, of course. I saw Dune as the not the first book, but one of the major piece of the legend that makes all the franchise successful. So I got hugely interested in Dune, and I bought the books, and I explored the universe. And yeah, I'm catching back the. I'm late with Dune, and I'm catching back the time.
So
So I think.
now are you feeling that inspiration to paint from Dune?
Well, I'm not as I won't dare, because if I paint Star Wars, it's because I do believe I have enough knowledge of the lore to
Mhm.
take liberties with the lore. Like, if I a small parenthesis, I integrated some non-human troops in my fan arts with stormtroopers. There is this idea of the Empire being xenophobic, but even as a kid, that was not working for me, because I saw the Empire as the Rome, the antique Rome, a fallen republic taken over by a general and then that turning into an empire that has to rule the Mediterranean Sea. So it's like a galaxy of different people with different culture. The Roman army is legionaries from the Latium, Italia, but as they have weakness in these massive troops of infantry, of heavy infantry, they need to recruit auxiliaries that join the Roman army more and more as the empire expanded. And like, yeah, the an empire in Star Wars destroy Alderaan, and as Rome destroyed Carthage, in North Africa, so
Mhm.
and destroyed the city, so the civilization of Carthage is gone, and the empire took over the territories of Carthage and becoming even more powerful. So yeah, the similarities for me makes that in the universe of Star Wars, the concept of xenophobia and racism cannot be that much applied. And as we never see Stormtrooper without the helmet, and there is so many human races and humanoid races with small color scheme of difference, that for me it was completely logical to not have them in majority, but like some volunteers or recruited
Mhm.
or obligation or propaganda, as an imperial machine that goes for 30 years of domination in the galaxy. For me, it just makes sense that there is non-human troops. Perhaps not as officers, because of course it's a tyranny. So to get higher levels, you get to be part of like a form of an elite, as the officers are the elite of the Empire machine. But troopers, for me, I see them like just being until lieutenant or captain and no more. So yeah, so that's the parenthesis I made. Sorry, I
That's
went
fine.
in it. Um, and that was for I lost myself. Sorry.
No, no worries, man. Well, let me ask you this.
Oh,
Obviously,
so
you have a real interest in history in general.
yeah, I put a lot of history in my work because for me, fantasy come from reality. I mean, the reality make the things looking normal,
Mhm.
and adding some a touch of magic breaks everything and makes fantasy more sparkling. The Pirate of the Caribbean, like the main characters are starting the journey in a normal ship, they're going to Port Royal, and then magic happens because there's pirate ships like the Black Pearl is
Yep.
looking like a Dutch flute. It's a authentic looking 17th century ship that is now magic because the sails are all ripped. There's like smoke around, undead inside, and then yeah. And as the Flying Dutchman as well, it's a wonderful ship looking like the Vasa from the Sweden Navy that sunk at the first day. But the decoration of the ship is beautiful, and the Davy Jones ship is looking authentic with this exactly amount of touch that makes it fantastic. I mean, out of reality.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the core. I think we find that in every corner. Like George Lucas is making things old in Star Wars to make it looking real, but
Mhm.
but you have spaceship. In the Lord of the Rings, the suits of the orcs and the suits of the humans are clearly from historical base. In the helmets of the Gondor, it's
Right.
from Greek and Oriental, the Orientals looking like for armies from the Maghreb. The elves are artistically different, but then they're not from historical side. It's more from nature side
Yeah.
or artistic side. You see a lot of Art Nouveau motifs in the armors,
Mhm.
or even a touch of Art Deco for the dwarves. The
Yep.
dwarves structure is Art Deco with brutalism and Art Deco joined together. So yeah, the team working for the art side of the Lord of the Rings, they opened their books, they picked what they find the most beautiful, and they made a soup to create this massive brew that was the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and
And
it's when they do that sort of thing, they add that. I think that's what really adds the realism to it, is that
yes,
they take it from existing things, and um you know and they kind of, like, you said it perfectly, where like the beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean is very realistic, and then
yes,
as like each thing goes, and then they go to the pirate city that's all these like sunken ships that are connected together, and
yes.
you kind of start, you can't get to that end point unless you kind of start kind of grounding it and making it so people can kind of relate to it.
Mm-hmm. So
um
yeah,
I think my favorite thing about the Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, is that it's the exact opposite of what you would think of a pirate story.
yes,
Instead of finding a treasure, it's putting the treasure back.
Yeah, it's simple like that, but it's working.
Yeah.
I mean, the last pirate movie that was like a massive, for me, was a hit. When I was a kid, I thought this movie was the perfect pirate movie. It's Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that one. I know of it.
It's the classic. It's all the rule books to make a pirate story. You know, a good pirates, because you have to the pirates are the heroes, but there's still the gray pirates, and then you have like the very dark pirates of the uncles. You have the Royal Navy. You have an island to find with piece of different maps to assemble. Then you find a treasure. Once you find a treasure, you have to defend it. So massive battle at the end. And the music is absolutely amazing soundtrack in this movie. And for me, as a kid, that was a perfect one. I was expecting the same with the new Pirates of the Caribbean. With Pirates of the Caribbean of Disney. That's going to be the same. No, it was not. And it was different. At the first view, is that movie? Was I satisfied after this movie? And then I watched again and again and again, and even like it was the first time of like torrent, so the first years of torrent. So I downloaded torrent in French Canadian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
And I watched again, and yeah, I was convinced by the story, and I completely
It's funny that you said that you watched it again and again, because I found that with Fifth Element. Like, I remember the first advertisement I saw for it. They're like, "Oh, it's this Star Wars of a new age," and I watched them like, what was that piece of crap that I just watched? And it's because I was going in expecting Star Wars, and then like years later, I sat down and watched it again, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is really good!" And like it's just like then I started watching more and more, and I'm like, "There's so much good in this," and it was just because I went in expecting something different.
Yeah. Sometimes like we can be our worst enemies when we are expecting to watch a movie. I'm not anymore watching trailers now. It's done. Trailers for me are separate movies.
Yeah.
You when I'm watching like I avoid to watch like, for example, the trailer for Rogue One, and hopefully because a lot of scenes in the trailer of Rogue One were not in the final movie, in the final cut. And then when you see a trailer, you're expecting to see when you're watching the movie after a trailer, you can be like trapped in the process of like, okay, so the movie is not finished yet because there is that scene I saw in the trailer that haven't been shown yet. So yeah, you're like, and then the scene in the trailer is just like 1 second. It's like it's made for the trailer and not for the movie. So yeah, you can be trapped in just want to see a longer version of the trailer, but not the movie itself.
And I've just. My thing is, I feel like now, and I'm super bad. Like I watch these all the time, and it's a sign of our times. Is, you know, when I was a kid, the trailer would come on TV, and that's the only time you saw it.
Yes,
you couldn't go back and watch it again. Now you can go back and watch it again and again and again and again and again, and then you can watch 9 different people on YouTube break down all these little details that they saw. You can end up ruining the movie for yourself because all the good unfolding things are already unfolded because someone spent 90 hours watching the trailer and broke down every possibility, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's the part where this happens. So yeah, I have to try to shut that off because I think that's hurting my enjoyment of movies.
It's complicated. How can you escape trailers? Because even before watching a video on YouTube, bam, you have a trailers in the ads before watching the video. So it's very complicated to escape that.
Well, let me ask you an unrelated question, but I've noticed you've mentioned several times about the music, and you brought up John Williams. It sounds like that's a really important part to you. Is that part of your process while you're painting? Do you listen to like Star Wars soundtracks? If you're doing Star Wars, like how does that play into your process?
Well, I have to confess one thing before replying directly. Is like a few weeks ago, I didn't know who was Prince, the singer.
Well, it's nice having you on the show. Really? Prince?
My ultra bad, as since the beginning of my music education as a kid, my dad was into jazz, American jazz, New Orleans style, or military march, I'm a huge lover of Scottish bagpipe. Music's like that. Music's when there's no words. I like music which is just a sound because it allows me to imagine what the music is describing. And then yeah, good soundtracks for me, it's a way to imagine the scenes or reimagine something with my own imagery.
Mhm.
It allows me to have the just the first seconds of the opening of Jurassic Park. You have the insect singing, and then
Yep.
the first drum, and then the vocals. God damn it, sorry, but this is like how you enter in the universe of Jurassic Park. And every time I hear that music, it's my skin is
Give yourself goosebumps.
my nerve system is full activated,
Yeah.
So music for me, it's super important, and I cannot paint in a pure silence. I hate silence. I don't like to be it's the silence is too loud, so I'm always having music in the background, and sometimes background sounds such as the rain, thunder, or spaceships hangar if I have to draw this. A new things I did for like recent spaceships I painted is just radio chatter of the ISS, and
Really?
and the sounds of this ISS station is just like with some beeps there and radio chatter, and that's
Yeah.
enough for me to be out. I'm in space now.
Huh. Yeah, they say it's pretty loud, like that they have to sometimes wear like headphones to sleep and
yeah, I can imagine. I like noise. I sleep very well in plane, in train. For me, I like white noises a lot. It's important, and music in top of the white noise, and that's it. I creating my own movie in my head. Bam, that's it.
That's it's a cool kind of like way to immerse yourself. But I agree completely. Even if I'm just answering emails, I can't sit in my quiet office.
Yes.
So there has to be a podcast or music or just some sort of noise.
So true.
Kind of.
Yes.
I don't know. It helps me focus, I guess. And
yeah, it's like if we have this opportunity. As a kid, I was just leaving my PlayStation running with the music of not PlayStation. I was like my Super NES. I was playing Donkey Kong Country. They have an amazing soundtracks in this video game. Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 and 3, amazing soundtracks. The best as the best sound design that the Super NES could do. And I was just leaving the levels going on, putting on pause and doing my homework, listening the music of Donkey Kong Country. And and that was before having YouTube and modern way to access to music is it's perfect, modernity at its best, allowing you to. That being said, I like to hear sometimes opera.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I hear opera, it's because my neighbor's playing it very loudly.
Oh, but the singers are the way of singing words. It's such more in music than just talking.
Mm-hmm.
Then the words just are just melted in the symphony, and everything is like becoming music. And when I need to do classic scenes, like why not like 18th century ships on the ocean, then why not putting some Verdi in the background? And I'm transported.
But I get that because I really. Sometimes almost like the words get in the way. I've been in a recent phase. A buddy of mine gets in the car, and actually a couple friends were in the car, and my buddy's like, "What are we listening to?" And someone's like, "It sounds like Russian," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's Russian rap." Someone's like, "Do you speak Russian?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what he's saying," but I didn't have to. Like, it still sounded really good, and it evokes a feeling and a vibe, but I don't have to know what he's saying, like, because like his voice was just another instrument in the song,
Sure, yes.
So I get that entirely.
But on a note, I have my moments. This is why my choice of music is very like in the mosaic style, because when I go in clubbing in Liverpool with my friends, sometimes we go to a club where there is like hard rock and metal. Mm-hmm. And I like to let myself go with metal and hard. I don't know this. I don't know the groups. Sometimes it's Kiss, sometimes it's more Limit Skit or other groups. But I like metal music.
But not Prince.
So, no, I didn't know Prince. I knew more Michael Jackson. I knew more like Elvis or Michael Jackson. I knew, and I like Michael Jackson. Yeah, but I didn't know Prince. And I'm so sorry, and I'm catching back my. I have to do my homework about that. I'm sorry, I'm a deep nerd. It's not very easy every day.
Do you know Lenny Kravitz? Maybe.
Sorry,
Lenny Kravitz.
I don't.
Well, all right. You should
I'm
check out Lenny
sorry.
Kravitz. No.
Okay, I will.
Check out Lenny Kravitz.
Sure.
It's your homework. But where can people go to check out your artwork? Do you have websites, Instagrams, that sort of stuff?
Oh, well, they'll be very welcome to visit my little stuff there. I'll be very pleased. I mean, if my art, some people are very inspired by what I did with the fan arts again, because like I saw groups on Facebook creating the medic troopers. I was looking for medic troopers, but I said I'll do my own design this time. I'm going to like take the liberty with that to make to create like a credible looking medic troopers, not too much armored, but having the base to be stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And groups on Facebook are forming to. Those people are incredible. They're printing the armor pieces, the helmets, the tools I created for mini troopers, the backpack. People creating the crazy backpack and inventing themselves. I like when people are interpreting.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Yes, it's getting inspired by my objects and then making them real. And even adding more details, things that I didn't put in the picture because it was too small or just one color. No, they're adding details. They're having their own creativity inspired by mine. It's a great pleasure. It's a huge honor to have like passionate people being inspired and putting their own stuff on the building.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. For me, my philosophy is like very very good small bricks makes the best palace.
Yeah.
Everybody one brick and one just making a beautiful palace.
What is your Instagram in case anybody wants to check it out?
It's Edouard Groult and CAI. It's with there underscore between Edouard and Groult and underscore between CA for concept art.
Okay.
So yes, it's very
we
simple,
recommend our listeners check that out. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. And so we started something new. This is for our listeners. Happy 300th episode. This is our 300th episode.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. Just thought
thank you so much.
So we started something new. We have other shows, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they have different sign-offs. There's one that it's called Sawbones I listen to that they close every episode with "Don't drill a hole in your head," and it's always bothered me that we didn't have any kind of particular sign-off for the show. And 300 episodes in, and I should have some sort of sign-off. So I've been passing it off onto our guests since we interview creative people. So do you have a sign-off, a bit of advice, a little creative thing, something that you want to throw in at the end that we can close on?
So like a final word?
Yeah.
Oof. Believe in your dreams. Well, I just for people who wants to draw, that's the best advice I can say. Always have with you a sketchbook, and on a small one, a big one that you have in your bags, in your pocket. And when you're waiting, when you have time to lose, just draw what you want, what you like to see, what you want to do. Just keep drawing. That's the best way to develop your skills in drawings. Listening the advices that shaping you, ignoring the advices that are against what you feel inside yourself. I know it sounds very cheesy, but this is how I proceed. I've never stopped drawing. I always have like a sketchbook with me when I'm waiting at a cinema. I have a sketchbook because I don't want to see the ads, so I take my phone, I put the light off the phone, and then I'm drawing until the movie starts. So. Yeah, that's for people that wants to draw, or always being inspired, observe, and do what you like to do in drawings. That's the best I can say. Perhaps I'm not a good communicator. I'm not an influencer.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. Thanks again for listening.